John Higby gave me a huge 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon and sponsors today's video. Rowan versus Sadar and Tymna, and we're only really doing anything on turn 3 there. Can we afford to go as slow as that? Yeah, we'll try it. I imagine we're up against a powerful deck here, but we'll give it a whirl regardless. Alright, got a turn 2 play to make in the Arcane Signet, so not being punished for playing this hand. An Elvish Mystic on turn 2 for our opponent, so we're likely going for the Arcane Signet here, a means of losing some life with Ad Nauseam. Don't tend to use that. We're more likely to go for the Wall of Blood here, although there's actually nothing to do with all the mana that we'll be saving with Rowan at the moment. A Tithe will allow for the searching of a Plains. And now Tymna comes into play and we get hit by the Elvish Mystic, so Tymna draws our opponent up to 6. And alright, another means of losing a lot of life. Necropotence, probably better to get down than the Wall of Blood. We've got triple black, so no worries there. Get down the Rowan. And we just need to hope that our opponent doesn't have any removal for it. But predictably, our opponent does have removal, so Swords to Plowshares is going to gain us some life. We've got a land to make next turn, so we can get down Rowan again. And deciding to hold back 3 mana. So maybe doesn't have a land to make this turn for the Sadar. Deciding on a Grim Flayer. Alright, a Talisman. So a land and a Talisman can get Rowan down again. We'll just cast it here. But our opponent has Mana Tithe as well. 5 cards left in hand. And we were right in thinking that this is a competitive deck. 4 damage in combat. And get to Surveil 3 with the Grim Flayer. Throwing in the bin a Weathered Wayfarer. And a Zealous Persecution. And now Garrick Teague will keep us from casting big non-creature spells. Let's progress our mana with a Talisman. Holding up priority here, so I think it's going to be worth getting down the defense grid. We've got Dark Confidant now, so we can gain some card advantage with that. More removal in the form of Abrupt Decay, and still 6 cards in hand thanks to drawing with the Tymna. So throwing away a Birds of Paradise, managing to make a 4th land. 6 cards in hand. Down to 5, he gets down a Dark Confidant of his own, ironically. Alright, a Sol Ring for us means that's easy. We go Sol Ring off the Talisman. And then I think we get down the Necropotence now, so that we can refill our hand and it's ready for next turn when we get Rowan into play. Probably go Rowan and try and get into Jeska's Will. So throw down the Wall of Blood. We can hopefully make our opponent think twice about swinging in, or at least get rid of some removal from our opponent's hand. Then put 5 into Necropotence. Alright, so we draw a bunch. There is Professor Onyx. Kozali Pride Mage is a means of getting rid of the Necropotence, I imagine. And they do go for that, so let's put another 6 life into Necropotence. Just have to hope that we don't exile a combo piece under this. And now a Fairgrounds Warden. Exile a creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield, so obviously going after the 1 creature we've got. Wouldn't say no to a board wipe here. So taking 8 damage now. Surveil on the Grim Flayer again. So binning a Hypnotic Spectre and an Urborg. 5 cards in hand, and we do get a draw step here, so Jeska's Will is going to be better with the more cards our opponent has in hand. We draw into Torment of Hailfire, which would be a nice payoff if we could actually stick our commander. Play the Jeska's Will for a bit of mana. Play out the Tainted Peak. Then feed the Swarm onto Garrick Teague. Losing us some more life. Definitely not getting out of this at this point. Maybe could have exiled the top cards with Jeska's Will. Maybe searching for a board wipe, that would have been a better idea. Could still do it with the Ad Nauseam, I suppose. Might as well at this point. It's specifically a Toxic Deluge that we want, but our chances are slim. Right, immediately lose 6 life to the Bolas' Citadel. A Mountain. An Inquisition of Kozilek, so we weren't getting anything off the Jeska's Will anyway. Command Tower. An Electro Dominance, and a Treasonous Ogre. So there we are, down to -3. We will stop there, and that can be the end of the game. Yeah, up against an obviously very finely tuned Tymna deck that our opponents made. This is very much a glass cannon type of thing. It's not really made for competitive play, although it can be very explosive. We'll play another one. Playing against Sauron this time, and it's a 1-lander, so easy. Into multiple lands and a means of card draw. We keep and get rid of the Electro Dominance. Scry land for our opponent. And into an Urborg. We will hold off for as long as possible just in case it helps our opponent out. Signing blood onto ourselves to draw 2 and lose 2. And that gets us into more means of life loss in the Dark Confident. Index during our opponent's main phase. Look at the top 5 cards, put them back in any order. And now that we've got Hall of the Bandit Lord available, that's a means of giving our commander haste and losing life, so probably best to go for Dark Confident here. So Hall of the Bandit Lord comes into play tapped, get down the creature, and we drew into the One Ring this turn. Our opponent tapping out suggests that we're not going to be getting our commander countered. Going for Tasha's Hideous Laughter, exiling some cards, a big score, lands obviously, add Gnaws, Lightning Greaves, Feed the Swarm, Immolating Soul Eater, a means of losing a lot of life, Night's Whisper, and Wall of Blood for the same reason. Lose some life to the Dark Confident most likely. Okay, we lose 1 life in the form of Thoughtseize, and then draw into a Sol Ring straight off the top, so our opponent's still struggling a little bit on black mana. We'll hold off on the Urborg, get down the Sulphurous Springs into a Sol Ring, and as it happens I don't think we're going to be making use of the haste now, so maybe we just set up the One Ring at this point. So yeah, let's go Thoughtseize first, look at our opponent's hand. Alright, there's a Fallen Ideal and a Maddening Cacophony, along with Lightning Greaves. I think we can get rid of the Lightning Greaves there. Then we will go for the One Ring. So we've got protection from everything, and we swing in for 2 at our opponent with the Dark Confident. Could have obviously activated the One Ring during our turn instead of going for the Thoughtseize, but I wanted to see if our opponent had any counter magic or anything. Dropping a Swamp, which we knew about this turn. And we know what they've drawn into now, that is a Deface. They can't blow up the One Ring because it's indestructible, but they can go after the Sol Ring with that. Nothing else for them to do here. So again, we don't have a surplus of mana to put into Peer into the Abyss, so I'm not going to go for a burden counter on the One Ring in response to lose life. I've drawn into Birgi, God of Storytelling, in order to ramp us more. And during the draw phase, get into Arid Mesa, so yep, drop the Mountain, give our commander some haste, then activate our commander, and that means that the Birgi only costs 1. And we can now go for the One Ring activation, lose a bit more life to that next turn, and hopefully set up a decent Peer into the Abyss. Swing in with the Dark Confident again. And now that our opponent's got some double black mana available, I think throwing out Urborg so that we don't have to take life to the Pain Lands would be a good idea, now that we're starting to get below half of our starting life total. Again, we know what our opponent drew into because he threw out the Sulphur Falls. We know that he's got a Mountain in hand, so he should have played that really. The One Ring being activated a turn late, arguably. Oh, you know what? I could have activated it previously. I've got it in my head that you've got to pay 1 for this because I've been playing with it on Arena, and they fix cards on Arena, annoyingly, instead of fixing them during the actual development process. So, should have activated this. I don't have to hold up 1 mana to pay for it like you do on Arena. But we get into Villis, Broker of Blood. That's a pretty damn good one. So, in response to the One Ring, let's activate it again so that we lose some more life and draw more. Treasonous Ogre, speaking of losing more life. And we've lost a big chunk to the Dark Confident as well. There's a Gyore, so throw out the Urborg, activate the Rowan. And now Treasonous Ogre is just going to cost 1 mana. So it pays for itself, thanks to the Birgi. Birgi adds a red for us. Going to give the Villis haste with the Hall of the Bandit Lord, even though it costs us more mana. Villis is just triple black. We make red again with the Birgi. Not that... yeah, it might be that the red mana actually isn't all that much use to us. Our opponent decided to scoop there, didn't give this haste or anything. I think I might have got down the Professor Onyx while we can get it down for cheap. But yeah, our opponent didn't have the best cards in hand there, just milling us and doing pretty much nothing else. We'll try another one. Rowan versus Hope of Gyore, and yeah, not doing too well on Magic Online recently, are we? A no-lander into a 3-lander, much better. So it's between Treasonous Ogre and the Bolas's Citadel we get rid of here. Yeah, I think there's more means of losing life than there is payoffs in the deck, so we'll get rid of the life loss. Hope of Gyore enters, so I'll get down the Lightning Greaves before that thing hits us. I throw out an Ornithopter as well. We draw into Jeska's Will, so yeah, throwing out the Lightning Greaves. Dark Confident maybe next turn. Then we can lose life to it and throw down Rowan and maybe get some free or just 1 mana Jeska's Will. A Commander's Plate will give protection from all of the colours. Will be 3 to equip it though. 3 mana generated from a mana vault might do it. So deciding to tap that straight away and put the plate on the commander. Drawn into Phyrexian Reclamation. I doubt we're going to have to fish anything out of the library here or out of the graveyard, because there won't be too much spot removal in a colourless deck, I wouldn't have thought. So get down the Dark Confidant, ready to start losing life to that next turn. And we might as well play out the enchantment. Mind Stone with 3 cards left in hand. So Dark Confidant going to reveal something, allow us to draw 2 cards this turn. And we'll take 5 to the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. And then just draw the Swiftfoot Boots. So not getting into a land, annoyingly. That means we just go for Rowan, Scion of War. And I'll put the Greaves on the Rowan just because. If we had a red source, we could have gone for the Jeska's Will and maybe got down the Boots or something, but yeah, obviously we didn't, so we'll just swing in for some extra damage. Deciding to untap the Mana Vault this time suggests that he's got something big in hand. Reliquary Tower in play now, 3 cards left. Then we go up to 12 Commander. So we're down to 22 life. We potentially lose some more here, although wouldn't be against revealing a land. And a land we do reveal. And a Talisman can lose us some life as well. We're against the clock here though, we need to do something quickly. So we'll go for both modes on the Jeska's Will and get 3 mana from our opponent's 3 cards in hand. Reveals an Arcane Signet, a Sheoldred as well. And of course we don't have the black mana available now for that. So we'll just go Arcane Signet. Commander damage we're worried about anyway, although the life gain would have been nice. Play the Talisman and the Boots. And then we're swinging in again, hoping to actually lose some life next turn, now that we've fixed our mana finally. As much as we decrease the cost of spells, we do actually need some coloured mana to put into things. Finally chump blocking with the Ornithopter, but our commander does have Menace, so we'll have to put that onto the Dark Confidant. Deciding not to bother now. He's at 8 commander damage himself. Sanctum of Ugin into play. Alright, so in comes Ugin the Ineffable. Can get rid of the Dark Confidant with that. We didn't have the mana held up for the Swiftfoot Boots, unfortunately. Deciding to make a Spirit Token anyway, thankfully. 16 points of commander damage, couple of turns away from going down to that, assuming it doesn't get buffed again. So we'd really like to lose some life to the Dark Confidant here, don't want to reveal another land. Otherwise we'll have revealed things in the wrong order with that. Wanted lands in the early game and we didn't see them. Alright, Read the Bones will do. And a Mithril Coat, not particularly interested in. So shall we just go for a 4th life lost and then have Read the Bones and all of our other stuff just cost black mana? Yeah, we'll activate the Rowan now, so everything costs 4 less. All our coloured spells anyway. Meaning we can throw out Bolas's Citadel. And that is a Feed the Swarm on top. So could maybe go for that now. Do we care about the Ornithopter? I don't think we do particularly care about that. But getting into another black land would be good, because if we have to go Read the Bones, it means that we don't have double black for the Grey Merchant to gain some life, so yeah, we'll do this on the Ornithopter. There's a Snuff Out, which isn't much use to us with the Commander's Plate in play. So yeah, we'll scry that to the bottom. Let's go Read the Bones here for a single black. Scry 2, draw 2 and lose 2. And there is a Bloodstained Mire, so scry to the bottom, put the land on top. And there we've got a Brass's Bounty to get into a bunch of treasures, which means we'll be on 3 life, but then if we get this thing down, maybe this as well, we can gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 life back, so it kind of pays for itself. Torment of Hellfire does nothing anyway, so we'll shuffle that away. In order to get some black mana, we go down to 2, put a land on top on the shuffle, and we can get down a 1 mana Black Market Connections, followed by a 2 mana Grey Merchant of Asphodel. And I don't think our opponent's going to be able to get us next turn, so let's go for the Swiftfoot Boots onto the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. We'll give our opponent some card advantage in the form of the Spirit Token, but we'll try and get Dark Confidant into the bin, because that's what's going to hurt us here, I think. I mean, obviously we know that we're revealing a land with the Dark Confidant, so I'm not particularly bothered if it goes down or not here. Obviously we can play off the top with Bolas's Citadel. Hopefully it relies on us not having anything big on top. But yeah, our opponent is getting rid of the Dark Confidant, taking 2 damage to the Ugin and get some card advantage. So only taking 4 to the commander, you would think. If we can just get one more turn out, we might be able to deal some damage to our opponent and then sacrifice some things with the Bolas's Citadel. Radiant Fountain gains our opponent some more life, making our life a little bit more difficult. Tapping down maybe for an Eldrazi here. Did decide to untap his Mana Vault previously. Alright, yeah, so there's Ulamog, Ceaseless Hunger. Let's see what he's targeting here. Just going after the Swiftfoot Boots and the Greaves. I mean, that's pretty good. It's the best we could hope for, as long as there's no haste from our opponent. Sacrificing the Sanctum of Ugin in order to search for a colourless creature. And searched out there a Kozilek Butcher of Truth. I have a feeling our opponent's not going to need these Titans anyway. Ticking up with the Ugin. And we are going to take 4. Then sacrificing Hope of Gyore in an attempt to keep us off winning next turn, which is a good play, especially when he's got a Titan available to him. We can see on top of our... and there we go. See, so our opponent doing absolutely the right thing there. That's really funny. I will take some damage here. We'll go down by 3, make a treasure. No, we don't need a treasure. We'll just take 2 to draw a card. But I don't see what we can do here with the Hope of Gyore finally being sacrificed. Snuff Out is eager to make an appearance, apparently. So we'll shuffle that away for the fun of it. Just throwing a land on top anyway. So we say, good game to our opponent. Yeah, it was the absolute perfect timing sacrificing the Hope of Gyore there. Otherwise, I think if we weren't able to actually get our opponent, we definitely could have stayed in it a bit longer. I haven't worked it out, but I think we could have got our opponent with the Exsanguinate there, with all the life that we were losing, and the extra mana that we were making from treasures. But it's good game to my opponent. Turned out that was a really good back and forth in the end. I think the new Ixalan set will be imminent now, so hopefully you're all looking forward to these new commanders. Massive thank you to the patrons as ever. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.